Hello and welcome back to Her Becoming and happy 2026. This is our first episode of the new year. We took a couple weeks off for the holiday, so I hope you had an incredible holiday season, whatever you were celebrating. I hope you spent time with your friends and your family, and most importantly, got in lots of rest and fun and playtime and joy and all of those things that tend to get lost in the hustle and bustle of attending to all things in our lives. So welcome back first and foremost. Happy New Year. Today we're talking about entering the new year slowly. Shocking, right? With all the themes of our episodes lately, we are talking about entering the new year slowly. What does that mean? How do we enter January without pressure, without falling victim to this intense societal pressure to change everything overnight, and instead focus on who you're becoming? Focus on the person that you want to be rather than focusing on all of the things that you think you are supposed to do in this next chapter, in this next season of your life. So that's what we'll be getting into today. And I'm so excited because I love talking about identity shifts. I love talking about habits. I love talking about goal setting. And we're going to get into all of that while keeping it very intentional and keeping our pace very slow. So first, I want to give you guys a recap of what I've been up to for the last couple of weeks to sort of set the foundation of where I'm approaching this episode from as I also enter a brand new year, a brand new season, and a brand new chapter of Her Becoming. So I went home for the holidays for Christmas. I was in California. I was in my parents' house. I had quite a few days to just lay and be cozy. There was a massive storm that went through LA during the days that I was there. So it was like God forcing me to rest, and it was so glorious. Then I came back to Phoenix after Christmas and I started to settle back into my routines. I got to really sit with and notice what my life feels like when I'm not working my 9 to 5 and also running my business and also just running around in the hustle and bustle of the holiday season. So I really took this last week to just move gently and move slowly, to play a lot of tennis, to spend time with friends and family, to connect, to socialize, to rest, to nap. Living my best life, let me tell you. And even with that beautiful holiday break that I've had, time to pause, time to rest, time to slow down, I'm still finding myself feeling like there's not enough time. And I know that is a fake feeling that I'm having. I know that it is due to these unrealistic pressures that I put on myself that we will get into in this episode. But I just want to share that to normalize it if you're feeling that way too. If you've also had a significant time off of work for the holidays, but you still feel like you couldn't accomplish your to-do list, you still feel like you need more time to do all of the things that you wanted to do. And something that I've been really focusing on over this holiday break is balancing productivity with giving myself space and also grace so that I can actually rest. The real kind of rest, not the kind of rest where you're scrolling and working and stressing over what you could be doing, but actual rest. And probably the most beneficial thing that I've spent doing in the last few weeks is just having fun. Allowing myself to say yes to the plans, to go see my friends, to go play tennis as much as I want, and to just let myself let loose a little bit and get out of my rigid type A to-do list planner mode and notice what it feels like to just let myself simply exist in this period of time. This was so refreshing to me because this was the first time in the last 5 years that I have a 9 to 5. Previously, it was just me running my business. So I always found myself hustling through the holiday season because I still had to make money. I still had to drive sales. And so what was so refreshing for me about this holiday season was that direct deposit is coming. I'm off of work, I'm on PTO, office is closed for the holidays, and I still get to get paid. So this was a huge adjustment for me. And I think it's part of the reason that I still have this internalized feeling of there's not enough time. I got to do more. I wasn't productive enough because my body and my nervous system are simply not used to being able to go into full rest mode around the holiday season. So that is a huge benefit, I suppose, of having a 9 to 5 for me this year. If I want to look at the positives of it, it really forced me and challenged me to take on this intentional rest and this intentional slow period and then notice how my body and my brain react, which was interesting. And then as far as 2026 and getting started in a new year, I'm not gonna lie, similar to the feeling of I feel like I don't have enough time, I wanna finish my to do list, there's just not enough. I do feel a little bit behind, and I've spent all day today beating myself up a bit, if I could be completely honest. I have spent this entire day talking myself into the belief that I'm not working hard enough, that my goals aren't big enough, that I'm spending too much downtime. And it's causing me to have a hard time getting back into the rhythm. I think something that happens naturally when you take time off is, an object in motion stays in motion. So when you get out of motion, it can be really hard to get back into motion. And so I'm choosing to reframe the resistance that I personally have felt all day today and just see it as a acclimation into the work that I know is coming and to see it as a transition period into everything that I know that I'm capable of doing. I just sort of need to get back in the saddle and remind myself what I'm capable of. So, if you're on a similar wavelength, this episode is absolutely for you. As I was outlining today's episode, I was like, damn, I need to hear all of this real bad today. So, know as I go through all of this that I'm right there with you. I see you. We are in it together. And we're going to get through this. We are going to gently enter 2026 feeling like our best selves and setting ourselves up for the most year yet. So let's get into it. For this entire month, our episodes will be focused on embodiment, reconnecting to your body, learning to build self trust within yourself to really set the foundation for the year to come. And in December, we talked a lot about living seasonally. This whole idea of the new year, new me is westernized and just completely out of alignment with the season of winter. Winter, as we've discussed, is a time for rest and restoration. But to keep it real with you, it's hard to just sit back and not participate in the new year. It's hard to watch everyone going forward with their goals and talking about their dreams and making their vision boards and not participate in that. So, we are in a way pinned between the cultural pressure to go, 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 and then the biological truth, which is our bodies and our spirits want to just go inward and rest. It's as if our body is saying rest and our mind is saying do or go forward. And because of this, I often find myself in that space between rest and productivity. It's the moments where you can't rest because in your mind, you're telling yourself all of the things that you should be doing to be productive. But then on the flip side, you also can't be productive because what your body actually is calling for is real rest. And so, something that I've been doing to combat this, I have been hooked on time blocks and timers because something about me is I want to live seasonally. I want to follow the intuitive flow of nature, but I'm also someone straight up, I'm type A, I'm a go getter, I'm going to be doing it. It's really hard for me to sit back for an entire season. So, to make sure that I am actually making space for both productivity and rest, I really rely on time blocking my calendar and then also setting timers. So, what this looks like is I'm making sure that when I'm resting, I'm actually resting. I'm not on my laptop, I'm not working from my phone. I'm actually full surrender, horizontal rest, maybe watching a show, catching up with a friend, or just hanging out with my dog. And then when I'm working, I am dedicated to knocking out a specific list of tasks with a timer and with my phone out of reach. Having this distinct differentiation has really helped me through this season accomplish what I want to get done to an extent, but also make sure that I'm holding myself accountable to actually get the rest that I need. So I've found that for me in the winter season, this has been exceptionally important. Like I said, it feels natural for me to set goals at the beginning of the year, but with the caveat that I'm moving slowly, I'm easing into it gently, and I'm sort of using the rest of this winter season to get reoriented, knowing that spring is when I fully kick into gear. Once March comes around, a fire lights under my ass and I am in go mode. It happens every single year. So you sort of just have to find your own process. You have to find your own balance this time of year of how much rest do you need? How much productivity is required for you to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish? And then also over time, starting to learn your own natural rhythms. Maybe you notice this year that spring is also a time when you kick into gear. Maybe right now in January, you're feeling really freaking good and you just want to go full steam ahead. Good for you. Go for it. Trust it. I'm definitely not one to say everyone has to do this right now or everyone has to do that right now. There's no specific timeline. I'm here to share with you the seasonal wisdom, but also hold you accountable to actually accomplish the things in your life that you want to accomplish. Another thing that I want to make note of as far as 2026 is the last couple of days, I've really been reflecting on how good my life feels right now. It was such a beautiful experience to have a hard time even writing goals because my life feels so full. I feel so blessed. I feel so happy. And I know that in past years, I used goal setting as a way to escape the life that I was living in that moment and try to create a new life for myself. And so, something that I'm just sitting in gratitude for this year is the fact that truly, if nothing about my life changed in 2026, if I just stayed exactly where I'm at, I would still feel very happy and very fulfilled. And it is the first time in a long time that I feel that way. And so I really just want to be grateful and to thank God for that. And then I also want to use that as my foundation for setting aside the things that I want to accomplish. Because at this point, I know what I'm capable of and I know what I do want for myself. But what a true blessing it is to already love the life that you live today. And so I say that to encourage you to look at your life right now and notice what feels good. Before you go into 2026 planning mode, setting goals, resolutions, and try to change everything, first take inventory of what's going well. What do you want to keep? What do you want more of that you currently already have? Start there and then go into your goals and your vision board and your bingo cards, whatever it is for you, because it's just such a beautiful reminder that we are already so grateful and that truly nothing is missing. We are taught that we need to constantly add more into our lives. That's what capitalism teaches us. We are constantly fed ads and we need to buy this new thing and do this new hack and get onto this new trend. And it's all intended to put us into a scarcity mindset that convinces us that the life that we have today is not good enough and we need more. So when we're constantly getting fed more, it's impossible to feel like you ever have enough. And so again, a mantra that I always come back to, nothing is missing. What if you spent this year or at least the next month or so just enjoying what you've already worked so hard to create? Everything that you've worked for in the past year, the past 2 years, the past 5 years has led you to this exact moment. And we often forget to recognize and celebrate where we are because, again, we're constantly chasing that feeling of more. So, setting that foundation of gratitude and recognizing what in your life you already feel so good about is a really great way to enter this next year. Something that we see happen often, specifically in January, is people putting so much pressure on themselves to reinvent their entire life in a matter of days. And we know it never lasts. I'm not going to say never, I will say rarely. We know that it rarely lasts. Extreme resolutions typically fail. And before you go out there and set an extreme resolution, or maybe you already have, but I can kind of peel back some layers of this for you, I just want to first talk about why do these massive resolutions usually fail? Why are people unable to sustain the goals and the resolutions that they set for themselves in January through the midway point or even the first quarter of the year? The first thing is motivation versus identity. What I mean by this is people really rely on motivation instead of actually changing the identity. And I get it. January comes with this huge rush of motivation. Everyone's on the new year, new me. There's the excitement of a fresh year coming. Everyone sees it as a clean slate, a chance to start over. There is nothing wrong with that excitement. I actually think it's a beautiful thing, even though it's happening in the dead of winter. Like multiple things can be true. There's excitement around making a vision board and setting a goal, hopping on the new trends, but that excitement is going to fade. Realistically, by next week, this whole new year, new me, exciting energy is going to have trickled down. And so when people rely on motivation, Motivation is not a constant. Motivation hits when it hits, and it doesn't hit when it doesn't hit. So if you are setting resolutions based on when you feel motivated, those resolutions are not going to stick. Instead, what we need to focus on is identity work. And this is one of my favorite topics. We're going to get deep into this today, and I'm going to share with you how you can actually focus on changing your identity in order to create sustainable habits instead of just relying on motivation. But first, I just want to call it out as one of the main reasons that these extreme resolutions usually do fail. Another reason is that pressure creates resistance. When you put so much pressure on yourself to an unrealistic extent, it's going to create resistance in your body. This is something specifically that I have been grappling with all week. I may have set this extremely unrealistic expectation for myself to use this entire week off that I've had to go full into business mode, full into podcasting mode, spend 2 full days recording, and record like 8 to 10 episodes. Guess what? That is completely unrealistic. And I realized that quickly when I was having an immense amount of resistance around outlining the episodes and wrapping my head around even planning out 8 to 10 episodes and the stress that it created around recording that much content in such a short amount of time. So that is a prime example of pressure creating resistance. And the reason the resistance comes is because you haven't identified why the pressure is being applied. So sticking to the same example of myself, sure, it sounded great to record 8 to 10 episodes since I'm off of work. But realistically, why is that pressure being applied? Does it make sense for me to get that far ahead in podcasting when I like to allow my podcast episodes and topics and themes to drop in intuitively? Does it make sense to exert that much energy in my luteal phase, by the way, when I know that I'm going to have less energy, be a little bit more tired, and probably not feel like it? So when we look at the why the pressure is being applied, it didn't even make sense. It was just a thought that sounded good, and I knew I'd be really proud of myself if I did it, but the resistance won. And the resistance is just a mirror. The resistance is, hey, let's take a deeper look at this and examine why you feel the need to do this and where it's coming from. Is it coming from an internalized expectation of yourself that makes sense and is for good reason? Or is it coming from this external pressure that you may feel that isn't even yours to carry, and you just want to do it because you think it'll look good or look nice from the outside? So that's a prime example of how pressure creates resistance. Another reason these extreme resolutions often fail is because people come at them with all or nothing energy. And when we discredit the space between all and nothing, it leads to failure. Nothing is truly all or nothing when we are forming habits, when we're changing our lifestyle, when we're taking on new identities. It's not all or nothing. And as a society, as people, and also especially as women, we really need to learn to celebrate the steps instead of just the completions, looking at the journey, not just the destination. Because when we have this all or nothing mentality, oh, I want to go to the gym 7 days a week, and then you go 5, and then you're upset with yourself. Well, what happened to those 5 amazing days that you just spent in the gym doing exactly what you said you were going to do? Why do we discredit that space in between the all or nothing? Similar to this is creating too many habits. So when we create too many habits and then we also have this all or nothing mentality, it's like all of a sudden, just because it's January, I want to go to the gym every day and drink a gallon of water and work on my business every single day and post 2 times on TikTok every single day and da 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 da. And the list just keeps going and going and going. Well, when you combine too many with all or nothing, you are putting yourself on a direct path to burnout, and it's not going to last. Something that I did this year, well, 2 things that I did this year. First, I really simplified what I want to achieve. When people ask me what I want this year to look like, I've been saying I want to get better at tennis and I want to grow my podcast. And it really comes down to those 2 things. I've set smaller, actionable goals in both of those categories, but it's really those 2 main themes. Whereas in past years, I would have told you I wanted to do 3 different things in my business and I want to grow all these different channels and social media platforms and I want to sign this many clients and make this much money. And like the list just goes on and on. And guess what? It was never sustainable. I was never able to accomplish everything that I put on those lists. And that's not even to say that accomplishing everything is the goal. But if you are looking at it from this all or nothing mentality, it can be really frustrating when you fall short instead of just enjoying the journey. The other thing that I did this year was I made goals in steps instead of just the end goal. So, for example, I want to get to 80 podcast episodes this year, which is very doable if I keep my weekly cadence. But instead of just putting 80 podcast episodes on my bingo card, which is what I use to track my goals, I put 40 episodes, I put 60 episodes, I put 70 episodes. I put milestones for myself so that I could quite literally give myself a gold star along the way. So that's something that you can do if you find yourself either setting too many goals or getting into this all or nothing energy, is you can break those goals into baby steps so that each step along the way is also a check mark on your list and helps feed that accomplishment so that you're not just waiting for the end result. Okay, now we're going to get into identity work and identity shifts. The main thing I want you to take away from this next section of the show today is that identity shifts are going to beat out habit lists every single time. Identity shifts are really what you need in order to create sustainable long-term habits and sustainable long-term lifestyle changes that will ultimately help you become the person that you want to be. So let's break this down. Habits are behaviors, simple as that. Your identity is who you believe yourself to be. So in order to sustainably adopt habits, you need to accompany the behavior with the identity. Our long-term change comes from our own self-concept. Our own self-concept meaning it's rooted in who we believe that we are or who you believe that you are. So if you want to make a lifestyle change, you have to think about who do you need to become in order to make that change, not just what you need to do. Who you need to become is actually more important than what you need to do. We spend so much time in do mode, doing the to-do list, doing the goals, doing the habits, and we need to learn how to embody the version of ourselves that already has those things. So simplified, I would tell you, you need to show up as the person you want to become. That is essentially the entire theme of this show, showing up as the person you want to become, her becoming. So let's go through an example of this together because I really want you to understand how to differentiate your identity from your habits and how to combine these things in order to actually see your goals come to life and see the dreams that you visualize for yourselves become your reality. So let's say my goal is to run a half marathon this year. I'm not a runner, so this is definitely not my goal. I play tennis, but let's just use this for the sake of it. Let's say I want to run a half marathon this year. Well, the habit that I would take on to accompany that goal is I'm going to go for a run 3 times per week. 3 runs per week will set me up to be able to run that half marathon this year. That feels realistic. Well, most people will just start chasing the habit. So let me just go run 3 times a week and I'm going to ultimately run a half marathon. And the habit is very much part of this. But more importantly, we're going to look at the identity. Your identity would need to shift into I am a runner. I am someone who runs half marathons. I am becoming my healthiest self through running. Those identities are helping your brain shift who you are becoming. You are taking on the persona of I'm a runner. This is natural for me. Because I am a runner, of course I'm going to train 3 times a week. Of course I'm going to run a half marathon because I am a runner. And your brain is going to look for proof that supports that belief. And you can even take this one step further by also aligning your environment. So what I mean by aligning your environment, if your goal is to run a half marathon, that looks like keeping your running shoes somewhere visible, joining a run club, organizing your workout clothes in a way that makes you excited to open that drawer or go to that section in your closet. If you are able to take on the identity and transform your environment, the habit becomes a natural follow-up. So again, if my goal is to run a half marathon and I start with the identity, I am a runner, I am someone who runs half marathons, and then I shift my environment into being run supportive, my workout clothes, my run club, my shoes are out, then going for a run 3 times a week is going to be a no-brainer. Because again, my brain is like, hey, we're looking for data that supports that I'm a runner. So yeah, my workout shoes are right there. My running shorts are right there. I am a runner. Let's go for this run. It is so crucial to take on the identity and to also make the adjustments in your environment. Because again, so often people just focus on the habit. And if you just focus on that habit, you are going to face resistance in getting to that end goal. So I encourage you to look at the list of goals that you have for yourself, look at your vision board, look at your bingo card, whatever it is. And I want you to identify 4 things. First is the goal. Second is the habit. How are you going to reach that goal? Third is the identity that you need to take on in order to reach that goal. And then number 4 is the environmental changes that you need to make to support you getting to that goal. If you do all of these things, you are so much more likely to sustainably implement a new lifestyle change in your life. You are so much more likely to actually become the person that you want to be because you've shifted the identity. And so as you move through January and you start to set the foundation for your year, I really encourage you to see if you can feel the difference between forcing a habit and embodying an identity. I really want you to look at the identity piece. Maybe it's even grabbing a blank piece of paper and just writing out some I am statements until you find ones that really represent the person that you want to become. You can come back to this at any time. You do not need to be resetting right now just because it's January and everyone else is doing it. This is a practice that I want you to take on long term. This can happen in any month. I personally do this with myself at least monthly. I check in. Where am I at with this goal? What are my habits looking like? Where's my identity work coming into play? I journal about it. I write affirmations. I do a lot of thought work. If it's something that you're interested in on a deeper level, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to speak with you about it. But I really just want to drill home today that just doing the habit is not going to be enough. And I say that with so much love. Just doing the thing that you think you need to do is going to burn you out. How can you become the person that you need to be in order to accomplish that thing instead? Okay. To wrap up today's episode, there's just a few things that I want to leave you with today. And again, as I was writing these, I was like, gosh, Kayla, like I need those today too. I just want to deliver these with a post-holiday nervous system getting re-regulated type of hug. Choose rest without guilt. We've talked about it already a few times today. Just really want you to give yourself full permission to escape the space between productivity and rest and get into full surrender mode. Put on the movie, put on the show, grab the book, go into meditation. Allow yourself to rest because you need it. Whether or not you think you do, I can guarantee you, you do need it. Speak to yourself more kindly. Maybe that's something that you take on this year if it's something that you struggle with. Past versions of yourself are already so proud of where you are today. Just like we talked about at the beginning, nothing is missing. Look at your life today, which is a result of all of the work that you've already put in to be who you are. Be proud of where you are and speak to yourself with the utmost of love and kindness. Speak to yourself like the love of your life, because at the end of the day, you are the love of your own life. Get rid of urgency around timelines this time of year and start slowly. Take as an example I'm going to record 8 to 10 episodes, and no, I'm not. I'm going to record 2, because what is the urgency? Why are we rushing? Why are we constantly creating this false sense of urgency to get things done when in reality we know that intention beats pace every single time? Create space in your life before adding more. This is a big takeaway for me right now. Create the environment, clear out old energies, cut the cords, let go. Your blessings can only arrive once you have the capacity to accept them. Something that you're dreaming about right now might not even be able to come into your life because you don't have space for it. You're not prepared for it. You don't actually have the resources to accept it. You have to make the space in order to allow new and better things to come into your life. And lastly, ground into your long term vision. I know you feel the rush, the hustle, the pressure to change your life right now. January is just 1 month. This is our first 31 days of a 365-day year and an even longer life. So look at your long term plan. Set the foundation for it now if that feels good for you. But we're just warming up. There's no need to perform right now. Think of this as practice. We're just getting into the group. We're realigning. We're coming out of the holidays, which is a very dysregulating time for a lot of us. So release the pressure to change your life today. Instead, set the foundation and ground into the why. Why do I want this and how is it going to benefit my life in the long term? All right, you all, we are just getting started. Her becoming 2026, and I have so much in store for you. And I just want to remind you that as I'm teaching you these lessons, I am also learning them myself. I am bringing you the things that I need to hear and the things that I know are valuable for all of us as we continue to evolve, continue to grow, continue to love ourselves, continue to build our self worth and our self connection. And I want you to know that you're doing amazing. I want you to know that we've got this, we're in it together, and you are perfectly capable of becoming the person that you want to be. If you want to hear any specific topics on this show, please, please, please send them to me. I love when y'all pop in my DMs and ask to learn about specific topics because I love nerding out on pretty much any topic related to wellness and personal development. This is a great episode to share with your best friend, share with someone in your family, a sibling, a loved one, because at the end of the day, we are all feeling this 2026 pressure at the same time. And this episode might just be the hug that they need to slow down, to reset, and to approach this year in a way that feels mindful and not forced. Okay, I will see you on the next episode. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. And until then, be well.